History happened everywhere.
The verdict.
This is our after-show podcast where we look back at the most recent episode, episode 90, Peace in Africa during the Jurassic. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and check it out, or else there will be spoilers ahead.
I always say, give a T-Rex a handbag. That just changes the whole nature of a T-Rex, who's holding a little Gucci handbag.
Hello, my name is Ryan Weir, and I am here in the HHE studio with the peaceful contemplation to my raging mindscape. It's Mr. Peter Goddard.
Wow, that was a profound and unsettling insight into your inner life.
Yes, let's not overanalyze that one, shall we? Moving on. And we are joined as ever by the deciduous diplodocus of desertification. It's the judge himself. It's Mr. Paul Dursley.
Why deciduous?
I thought you were implying he was going bald and his leaves were shedding.
Now, Peter, I have spent the past week being flash frozen in a bag of petit pois, and as such, I have forgotten everything you talked about during your episode. So would you mind reminding me what happened in, let's say, 60 seconds?
I think I could do that, but I don't know when you want me to start.
I would really like you to do it now!
We spared no expense and travelled way back in time to the Jurassic period, to Africa in search of peace, or possibly peas, or possibly even just a piece of something, anything, to make this episode work. We discovered how to read the molecular clock in search of the common ancestors of flowering plants. We also learned the tale of the Scottish amateur engineer who loved to make passes. We also found a little piece of the Jurassic in the form of a gigantic dinosaur known as a giant thunderclap at dawn. And of course we met Professor Phil Donahue, who educated us about paleontology, as well as kindly tolerating my stupid questions about peas in the Jurassic in Africa. Thanks, Professor Phil.
That was last week's episode done, summarised nicely. Nice one, son. Now we're over to a young Dursley, who's gonna tell you what he thought of thee. He'll take you apart without any care. He's the lovely Paul Dursley. The lovely Paul Dursley.
Ah, yes, I remember now. And I have to say, Pete, I very much enjoyed watching you struggle through prehistoric Africa looking for a moment of peace. But what does it matter what I think? Because we are here for the opinion of just one man, Judge Dursley. So, Paul, before we convene the court and receive your final ruling, please give us your first impressions of episode 90.
You were saved by Phil Donahue.
Yes, I felt I might be.
There wasn't much in it otherwise.
But I did find him. I had to ask him to come. So, who's the real hero, I ask you?
Are you feeling positive, Pete, about this verdict?
I have been more confident on previous episodes, I must admit.
So, Paul, there was a lot of science in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Did that help ease things for you?
Oh, yes. Very much so.
I particularly enjoyed the fact that he gave me his absolutely most simplified version of it, and I still struggled to follow along, and it took me some time to work it through. But I thought it was really interesting, the way that science has changed from dig up a rock and have a look at it and try and put it together like a jigsaw to much more computational approach to looking back into the past. I thought that was a really interesting sense of the development of the science.
There is that, and also there is the paleogeography part of it, sort of what the world looked like then. And again, years ago, I can remember you sort of used to see really sort of very sketchy ideas, but now they can sort of run the model backwards that they've got, and they can get incredibly accurate, well, we would assume that they're incredibly accurate representations of where the continents were and what the sea levels were, at this 170 million years ago, which of course, in the scheme of things, is not that far back.
Yeah, and I think it was at that time South America and Africa were close, if not attached. So Actually, when these guys are working, in their heads, South America and Africa are neighbouring states, essentially.
When you look at how far they have drifted, though, it really does give you sort of a visual clue around how much time has passed, right? Because these things drift very slowly. We're talking centimetres a year, right? And these things are now thousands of miles apart.
Yes, But of course, it's not just once. This has happened 2 or 3 times that the continents have come together, then gone apart, then come together, gone apart. And I think we're in a sort of coming together, or going to be coming into a coming together phase.
It's like one of those statistics about how vast space is. It just hurts my head.
Yeah, it's funny to think, isn't it, that the numerous ways in which we don't realise we're moving. On the one hand, we're on these essentially movable plates moving around the planet at an incredibly slow rate, which doesn't feel like moving, whilst also whirling through the universe at an astonishing speed, which also doesn't feel like moving. If we just have no idea what's going on, do we?
It's all to do with your frame of reference.
Well, my frame of reference was that I wanted to tell some interesting stories, because I could have actually nailed certainly the Jurassic and Africa part of it. Maybe the piece was going to be a bit more challenging, because there are, of course, lots of interesting fossil beds across Africa, and there are lots of Jurassic dinosaurs that were found in Africa. What I didn't really want to do was just go, here's a dinosaur, here's a dinosaur, here's a dinosaur. It just didn't seem interesting, and there wasn't really a story to it. That's kind of why I chose the things I did. But had I chosen a dinosaur to talk about, it would have been Afrovenator, or Afrovenator. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Afrovenator.
The clue's in the name as to why I might have chosen this one. This is the words African and hunter. And fossils of this were discovered in 1993 in Niger. And it was originally thought to be Cretaceous, but they reinterpreted the sediment, and now they think middle to late Jurassic. So 167 to 161 million years ago.
What does the molecular clock say?
I did not consult the molecular clock, actually. But this dinosaur is known actually from just one skeleton, which always makes me think, because if this one skeleton is a really weird example of an Afrovenator, we just think they're all like that because it's the only one we've got, isn't it?
Yeah. When there is only one source of something, there is a word for it. Is it something? It's like Hapax logomem?
I do not know.
Yeah, I feel like you're asking the wrong people.
No, I would have thought Pete would have known.
Wait, what? Why? Why him? I'm smart. Oh, he's off.
Did you just get up and go?
It's quite often a literary thing. I was just trying to... I think it's just to do with linguistics, actually, but it's a term, a Hapax legomenon, or a Hapax legomenon is a term of which only one instance of use is recorded.
Got to extrapolate hard when you've only got one or something, haven't you?
Exactly.
But they think it was about 8 metres long, about a ton in size. But it was a long-limbed, slender, something of a runner, and it's got a big mouthful of long, bladey teeth. So it was a hunter, this lad, so probably wouldn't qualify on piece. But if you do want to see it, I'm not sure if it's on display or if you have to ask, but it is apparently housed at the University of Chicago, if you want to go see Afrovenator, who nearly got in on the podcast but didn't. So now I brought him here.
I am picturing it with an afro, though, by the way.
Understandable. And those glasses, which are like in the shape of a star. Afro Disco Dino.
Disco Dino. I did a little fact-finding around the humble pea. I thought I'd bring some pea facts.
Pee on me, Ryan. No, wait.
I don't want that image in my head.
So peas, also known as green peas or garden peas, these are the tiny round seeds of the Pisum sativum. It's commonly thought of as a vegetable, but it's not. Peas belong to the legume family, and they are cousins of beans, lentils, and peanuts. Thought to have originated in Southwest Asia, somewhere in the vicinity of modern-day Afghanistan. Earliest fossils date back around 30,000 years.
I heard, Ryan, that early peas showed up in Neolithic archaeological sites in Turkey and Iraq because they were actually one of the earliest plants to be domesticated.
Yeah, that's right. So around 10,000 years ago in the Fertile Crescent, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Turkey, Israel, Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, around that way. In fact, the real history of peas in terms of domestication, though, really starts in Rome. Peas were sold in the streets, cooked and seasoned like a kind of a fast food snack. The Apicus, collection of Roman cookery recipes, which was compiled in the 1st century AD, identifies a recipe which suggests flavouring peas with pepper, parsley and coriander. You fancy that?
That's all right, actually.
Sounds quite nice.
Yeah, I was thinking I might give that a go. Pea flour was often used by Roman women, apparently. They wanted to make facial masks that would help soften and brighten the skin, so they would use pea flour for that. In fact, the Romans loved peas so much they grew 37 different varieties of peas, including one called piselli novelli, which means new peas, the ones which today we refer to as petits pois. But the world's first sweet-tasting pea was developed in the 18th century. Up until that point, peas were sort of known to have a starchy flavour. But in the 18th century, an amateur plant breeder called Thomas Edward Knight, he was experimenting with different varieties of peas and was able to create a sweet-flavoured pea. Although, I do have to point out that it said that he may have just capitalised on some weird natural mutation. He may have just had some lucky peas that grew that were sweet, and he went, all right, I'll just have those.
Well, of course, Gregor Mendel famously used peas to work out inheritance.
Gregor Mendel, who was he?
He was a monk in the 19th century who looked at crossing different types of peas. So some peas may be sort of a yellow hue, some may be more green, some maybe the plants have big leaves, some have small leaves. And so he cross-fertilised them and was cross-breeding them. And this is where sort of the whole science of genetics started. And so this thing about maybe a mutant pea, perhaps that got him thinking as well. I don't know.
We owe a great deal to the mutant pea.
Penis is very important.
Sorry, what? What?
Penis. Like a pea. Penis.
What?
Peaness. Like a
penis. I see, okay.
Oh, God, that's not going in there. I thought it was quite...
Saying the word penis in the show.
Over and over
But it's not. It's the word penis. It's a different word.
Today, though, there are thousands of different varieties. Varieties called Pirate's Gold, Dragon's Breath, Blushing Bride, Sugar Daddy, and Naughty But Nice, which sort of suggests that people are getting a little too attached to their peas.
I'm curious about your search history now.
Anyway, peas themselves are highly nutritious. They offer a concentrated source of plant-based fibre, good source of vitamins A, B, C, E and zinc. In fact, one serving of green peas contains as much vitamin C as 2 large apples.
Nice. I do like a pea as well. I'm fully behind the pea.
In 1995, Barnabas Chappell of Shropshire, England, he grew a pea that was 20 centimetres in diameter, which is roughly the size of a 6-month-old baby's head.
Not sure what's more worrying, the giant pea or your weird comparison there.
The world record for eating peas is held by Janet Harris of Sussex in the UK, who in 1984 ate 7,175 peas one by one in 60 minutes using chopsticks.
That is remarkable in so many ways.
Which makes you wonder how many she would have eaten if she'd just had a spoon or something.
No, it's not remarkable at all. It's sad.
And also, finally, pea processing is starting to take place to make clothing. So you might have had bamboo socks or bamboo bedclothes or whatever, but it's similar to that, but they're using peas.
A pea shirt.
So you can have a pea shirt, yeah. Clothing brand Lululemon is starting to use peas as a sustainable material to make their yoga pants. So you can pee your pants.
Hey!
Or give peas a dance.
Hey! There you go, Pea Facts!
Well, look, Ryan, I want to go back to dinosaurs briefly. I want to talk a bit more. We touched on him, but I want to say a bit more about the Giraffatitan. Do you remember the dinosaur that was at one time the biggest, but actually got overtaken by the titanosaurs?
Yes, I remember.
Well, the good news is the Giraffatitan still holds one official Guinness World Record.
Okay.
It turns out that the specimen of Giraffatitan, which is mounted in Berlin's Natural History Museum, is the tallest mounted skeleton in the world.
That is interesting. How tall?
It stands, Ryan, at 13.27 metres tall.
That's taller than me on a ladder.
And you're a tall man with a big ladder, so that's quite impressive. I think we can all agree. But here's the interesting thing that I thought was interesting anyway. That Giraffatitan is not one Giraffatitan at all. It's kind of a jigsaw composite of a number of different skeletons that were found by the German paleontologist Werner Janensch, found in Tanzania.
It's kind of cool, isn't it? The thought that giraffes are huge creatures with long necks, and we talk about dinosaurs and it seems so foreign to us, but there's the humble
there's
giraffe.
one over there.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
The only other Giraffatitan thing I want to bring to the table, Ryan, is a really good illustration. This was something I saw in Wikipedia. The placement of Giraffatitan nostrils has been the source of much debate.
Where is it likely to be?
If you think about your own skull, your nose, where your nostrils are, is quite different to where the hole in your skull is. So you've got a very flat skull. So one of the theories was the holes was where the actual air went in, if you like, and it was using it like a snorkel, so it was most of its time in water to support its weight. But incorrect, they think today. The consensus now is they think it was fully terrestrial because those fools, its feet are far too narrow for efficient aquatic use, obviously.
Yeah,
so they
makes
think
sense.
there was some kind of nosy structure, and so the nostrils were not where the original people thought it was. But that is the controversy of the Giraffatitan nostril.
It would also make smelling things very difficult. Like if your nostrils on the top of your head, smell your food before you eat it, you'd have to put your head down.
I don't think dinosaurs were that discerning, were they?
Well, I think what we've discovered is that nobody knows. All right, so guys, in the film Jurassic Park, it said that the dinosaurs are brought back from extinction thanks to blood found in a mosquito that's been trapped in amber, right? But the film also describes Jurassic Plants. So how realistic is that, I thought? Could we bring back not a dinosaur, but a Jurassic plant?
An angiosperm, perhaps?
Indeed.
Possibly.
You could surmise that the way that they did it is that you would take seeds and or pollen that is trapped in amber, a bit like the mosquito, and you could just extract those and propagate them and try and grow plants from the seeds. But there's a few reasons why that's unlikely. The most important being that the DNA would become too fragmented after a few centuries, basically, let alone a period of 150 million years. So it just wouldn't grow. You wouldn't be able to take it out of amber and put it in that. But that doesn't mean it's not possible, because amber isn't the only way of preserving things. Seeds trapped in glacial ice is much more feasible than amber, mainly because the cold can slow down the decay of biological and chemical processes, including the DNA. In fact, there have been cases where seeds which have been preserved in ice for thousands of years have now been revived. Scientists recently germinated Silene stenophylla, which is a flowering plant which was buried in the Siberian permafrost 30,000 years ago, which is impressive, but still relatively recent when you compare that to the Jurassic, for example. So finding Jurassic seeds in the permafrost then just becomes the problem.
Does any permafrost from the Jurassic still exist, though? Because sort of the Earth has heated up and cooled down many times.
Well, it's a really good question. But even if you did, even if you were able to find some seeds or pollen, extract them and germinate them, you'd still have trouble getting them to live, because you're then faced with the problem of replicating the conditions that these plants grew in. So things like atmospheric differences between today and 150 million years ago, different types of soil composition. It would all be almost too difficult for us to reproduce to be able to grow those plants. But if you did, what kind of plants might you bring back? Well, the Jurassic was a time when the first forest ecosystems started appearing, and in those forests, you'd find the ancestors of sort of modern pine and fir trees.
Oh, sounds gymnosperm to me.
It does a little bit. But the plant that I would bring back, that I like the sound of, is the lepidodendron, which is otherwise known as the giant club moss, which wasn't a moss like we know moss today, you know, that green stuff that sort of grows on your rooftop. It was a gigantic prehistoric version that was up to 100 feet, 30 meters tall, and it had a woody trunk, which was about 30 centimeters thick around it.
I think I've got one of those on my back wall.
You should get that taken care of if that's the case. So there you go, Jurassic moss.
Again, another poorly received member of the franchise.
Paul, would you go to a Jurassic Park?
Well, I couldn't because they don't exist.
No, but if they did, would you go?
No, I wouldn't.
Right.
We've seen the films. We know what happens. They always get out.
The females turn into males and they start mating.
Yep. Jurassic Pork.
Funnily enough, one of the more popular franchise installments.
Right, so, Peter, in our first sketch, we joked about me having a coprolite collection.
We did. A hilariously fresh coprolite collection.
Yeah, fossil dinosaur poop. You actually have some coprolite, don't you, Paul?
Yes, I do.
That sketch was inspired by you.
I'm just wondering where it is.
Oh, he's gone to go and get it.
He's off and running.
It was a bookend, and I went to look at the shelf where the books were. Oh, I know where it is. Found it.
Yeah, he's got it.
I'll take a picture of my dinosaur turd.
Excellent. We will put that on our social media. Come look at our poo, everyone.
So that sketch, Paul, was in part inspired by your fossil dinosaur poop collection.
I don't have a collection, I have one.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the start of a collection. That sounds like something I might say in one of the sketches.
Send your coprolites to Paul Dursley at...
Yeah, lots of evidence has been found that shows that dinosaurs defecate, but there isn't any evidence that's been found that shows that dinosaurs peed, as in urinated. After all, it's very hard to find any trace of 100-million-year-old urine. So it's kind of unclear if or how dinosaurs peed. Most paleontologists believe that we should look at modern descendants of dinosaurs, birds and crocodilians, for an answer. Birds, for example, they pee through a cloaca, which is the cavity at the end of the digestive tract that excretes solids and liquids in one single stream.
Accident.
Yeah. Basically, you get pooped on by a pigeon, you're going to get pee and poop in one big dollop on you. So dinosaurs could have done the same thing, they reckon. But if you look at ostriches and crocodiles, then we see that what they do is they have the same. They have like that kind of cloaca thing, but they pee first and then they poop. So it all comes from the same place, but the pee comes out first, then the poop follows. So dinosaurs could have done that, they think, but we just don't know. Well, we didn't until 2002, when a bunch of researchers presented a possible trace of actual dinosaur pee.
Can we call it urine, please?
Well, I'm using pee because it's kind of like peace. It's like they were peas. So at a meeting of the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology, Catherine McCarville and Gail Bishop reported on finding a strange bathtub-shaped depression among dozens of dinosaur tracks just south of La Junta in Colorado. Now, they said that this depression in 150-million-year-old stone measured approximately 10 feet long, 5 feet wide, and about 10 inches deep. Basically, it's the same shape created by pouring a stream of water onto sand. So they looked to see if there were any rocks that were overhanging this area that might have created this stream as rain ran down or river water sort of flowed over it, but they found nothing. So they were left to consider that the only other source for an elevated stream of fluid would be the result of a heady stream of liquid dinosaur waste. And they claimed that the volume of fluid required to form a scour structure as large as the one in question suggests it may represent the expulsion of liquid urine from one of the sauropod dinosaurs. So this would be dinosaurs like the Apatosaurus or Allosaurus. Now, there was obviously some questions raised about their finding. It could have just been water that was just flowing and created this thing.
That was on my mind, I'll admit.
But in 2004, another group of researchers described finding a divot in rock that measured 6 inches across at the widest point and about 3/4 of an inch deep. Now, these weren't muddy impressions like you get around the footprints, which sort of create like a ridge on the outside. As the foot pushes down on the mud, it creates like a crater effect. This isn't like that because it had these ripples. That suggests liquid. They know this also because they recreated the same pattern by dumping 2 litres of water onto sand from a height of about 2.5 feet, and it looks exactly the same. So the question remains, was this a dino pea pit, or Urolites, as they are now technically called. So not a coprolite, but a Urolite. But as they're being discovered now, it will prove one way or another as to whether or not dinos urinated, or whether or not they dumped their poop and their pee at the same time.
I have to say, Ryan, pee in the Jurassic in Africa is even further from the goal than I managed. So well done.
I just thought I'd join in.
You're making me look good here.
I've got to say, though, imagine seeing one of these giant titanosaurs peeing. You could have a lovely shower.
You're not supposed to look, Ryan. You just keep your eyes on your own store.
And so, we have come to the end of the line, Peter. It is time for you to step into the dock and prepare to face the people's judge. Judge Dursley, are you ready to give your verdict?
Yes, I am.
Okay, then will the defendant please rise?
I suppose I have to.
Yes, you do. Your Honour, as usual, may we start proceedings by first asking for your verdict on factual content.
Well, this is a difficult one because I'd like to praise Professor Phil Donahue, of course, but if we take that out of the equation...
Which we don't have to. We can leave it in the equation. The equation can easily handle it, I think.
Stuff supplied by Pete, I'm afraid I think it was rather scarce.
My goodness. Well, then can I ask for your grade for factual content?
With the caveat just mentioned... D.
Solid start for you there, my friend.
Pretty sure we're going to recover brilliantly.
Yes, I think so. Right, we move on. Your Honour, may I have your grade for entertainment value? I may remind you there were some excellent sketches this week.
Well,
and fun banter.
Yes, they were at your usual level, although I think the Dub Turd sketch was moderately amusing.
High praise from the judge.
Well, then can we have the grade for entertainment value?
Okay, I was slightly more entertained than informed, so I will up it to C-.
We're in the C zone.
The Caesazoic period.
The bottom edge of the C zone.
Then, Your Honour, may we have your grade for the mysterious, the elusive Dursley factor?
Well, I have to admit it was quite a difficult subject, wasn't it? Sometimes when you get difficult subjects, I think, how on earth would I have dealt with it?
Ah, well, there you go, Pete.
Concession.
So that was a positive.
Okay, well, that sounds good, Pete. Can we have the grade then for Dursley factor?
Okay, I think that's some redemption for peas, so I will give you a C.
This is good, Pete.
Better than I was expecting, I must admit.
But here we are, Peter. We have reached the final verdict. But before the judge passes his ruling, you have an opportunity to enter a plea. If you choose to do so, I would ask that you make that plea now.
I'd like to make more than one, in fact. I'd like to make please in Africa.
Oh my goodness.
In the Jurassic.
Stop! Stop! I am ready for my grade.
Well, Your Honour, the defendant stands before you.
I'm so pleased with myself.
Have you reached a verdict?
Yes, I have.
Well, then, in which case, I would ask most respectfully for your ruling.
I'm sorry, Pete. D-.
Totally worth it. I stand by my plea 100%.
Well, I'm afraid that lost you 2 points.
I would do it again in a heartbeat.
I'm afraid over the last couple of episodes, your scores have been going down.
That is undeniably true.
What's going on?
I think I've infected Peter's brain.
I think
I
it's
see.
fine, and next time will be fine somehow, magically.
So, yeah, I think I'm going to set you a challenge. I would like you to work together.
Well, I can't work with him. His grades are terrible.
Oh, my lord. Have some rank hypocrisy over there.
Well, rank being the most appropriate word. No, I believe you should work together And maybe the sum may be bigger than the individual parts.
Okay.
Well, I'm for one, I'm excited about my newfound partnership.
Great, you can do all the hard work, Pete.
I'll do the facts, you bring the funny.
All right, well, look, there you go then, Pete. Episode 91, Bigger Than an Elephant in London during the pre-Roman era. I guess we'll be working on that together, mate.
Damn it.
Do as you're told. You know I'm right. I always am.
Okay, well, look, there you go. On that bombshell, that is our show for this week. If you'd like to get in touch about any of the things that we've talked about on the show, or just to say hello, you can reach out to us on social media through our website at hhepodcast.com or by email at peteandryan@hhepodcast.com.
Indeedy, we'd love to hear from you, and you never know, you might end up featured on a future show.
That's right, and one way to definitely feature on a future episode is to rate and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or even Good Pods, with this episode, believe it or not, being Keb approved, 5 stars.
Go, Keb!
Yes, be like Keb. Your recommendation can really help us bring the show to new listeners.
And if you're on Mastodon, Facebook, Instagram, X, you can find us at HHE Podcast. So subscribe there and you'll get an alert when we post trivia, tidbits, news, photos and pictures of Paul's coprolite.
That's right, Paul's poop.
I suppose technically that is correct.
But we are going to be back again soon with our next episode, episode 91, Bigger Than an Elephant in London during the Roman Republic. But in the meantime, a huge thank you to the judge himself. Thank you, Paul.
My pleasure.
And a big thank you to Professor Phil Donoghue.
Thank you, Phil.
And that is it. I guess all that's left to say is...
Mind your P's and Q's.
Can I downgrade the episode even now?
Peas off. Yes, Pea Facts are all very well, Ryan, but what of the Sugarsnap, I hear you cry?
Oh, God.
I will
Can't
supplement
we
your...
talk about something else?
I'm going to supplement your Pea Facts with one interesting thing about the Sugarsnap.
Sugarsnap facts!
The Sugarsnap is a recent development. A pea breeder, a planticulturist, or what do you call them, Calvin Lambourne in America, it developed the Sugarsnap in 1979, crossing garden peas with snow peas.
Oh.
Ever the showman, the Sugarsnap went on to become a cover star, achieving every vegetable's dream of appearing on the cover of the Burr Pea Seed Catalogue. The black-eyed pea, Ryan, is not a true pea, so stick it, Will.i.am and Fergie.
It's not going in this episode either.
Well, f*** you.
That is, though.
Oh, jolly good stuff, chaps. Jolly good stuff. Do you know what I like? Legumes.
Well, you're right on the pulse of it, aren't you?
Hey! Hello, lovely YouTube folks. This is a special message just for you.
Yeah, thanks for listening all the way to the end.
Now, if you enjoyed the show, please let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
And don't forget to take a moment to hit that like and smash subscribe.
Hit that like.
Yeah,
Smash subscribe.
yeah, it's what people say.
Do they, though?
Yeah, only the cool kids.
And you think you're the cool kids, do you?
No, we're the cool kids.
Oh, yeah, I suppose we are. All right, smash that like button, people. Smash it real good.
Oh, yeah. Nice.